collapsing time, where you get more done without the hustle, without the frantic energy, with less effort, and you see an exponentially greater result. Who wants this? Tony Robbins has said, it is not that we don't know the right answers, it's just that we don't ask the right questions. We're not asking the right questions. Okay, Tony, so guess what? You're not asking the right question. You're not asking the number one question. What is it about the number one question? It's amazing. It changes everything. When you ask this question, when you know how to ask this question, everything in your business changes. Your life grows, your business expands. But you're probably asking this question right now. Katie, who are you? Oh, well, so glad you asked. I'm Coach Katie. Like I mentioned, I have built and sold a multi-million-dollar international business. I'm a mother of 4. I am a coach to high-performing entrepreneurs. I'm a very powerful businesswoman. I show people how to expand into their untapped capacity. It's really exciting. And I work with some of the most amazing entrepreneurs. I love what it is that I do. I work with Catherine Jones, Josh Forty, Andrea Beefus, Jenica Parcell, Paul Van Bloom, Andrew Wenig. What is it about all of these people? What is it about them that has consistently allowed each of them to experience this exponential growth, this collapsing of time? Well, they all know that growing a business is near impossible when you don't ask the number one question. When we're not asking the number one question, we waste time, energy, and money. So what's the number one question? Let me tell you a story. There was a time in my life when I was searching. I built an amazing business and I could just tell it was time to make a big move, but I was scared. And I would get on my knees. I'm a praying woman. I would get on my knees and I would pray to God and I would say, what do you want me to do? Like, what should I do? What am I supposed to do? And you know what? I was praying. I was reading scriptures. I was going to the temple. I was doing all the things that he told me to do. And he was not telling me where to go. I felt like I was pushed up against a cliff. And there was so much possibility in front of me that I was in overwhelm and I couldn't make a decision. And I just needed him to part the clouds, shine the light, and I was going to jump. And over again, he wasn't answering that question. So I'm searching, I'm journaling. And at that time I was traveling a ton, LA, San Francisco, New York, Chicago, New Jersey. I was all over, Vegas. And over and over again, I kept having the same experience. Perfect strangers would come up to me and start talking to me every one of my trips. And they would say to me, who are you? And I was like, okay, this is getting a little bit weird. Everywhere I went, people were asking me that question. In fact, I was in Vegas once and there was this throng of people moving through a very crowded convention hall. It was at a trade show called Consumer Electronics Show. And there's a central figure, he kind of looks like Stevie Wonder. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's Stevie Wonder. His head is popping up next to that central figure. He dramatically pushes his way through the crowd, rushes up to me, puts his hands on my shoulders, and he says, who are you? And I said, I'm Katie Richardson. Who are you? And he said, I'm Lamar. I'm with Stevie. I said, Stevie who? He said, Stevie Wonder. And I'm sitting there wondering, what is going on? In my mind, I'm like raising my hands to God, like, what am I supposed to do with this? What do I give him? What do I do for these people? Everyone keeps coming up to me, asking me, who are you? And after that experience, I was talking to my husband and it kind of woke me up. And I was like, I'm paying attention, but what do I do with this? And I don't know where I'm supposed to go, what I'm supposed to do. And my husband says, Katie, you're a designer. Why don't you decide what it is that you want? Go into the future, make a decision on what it is that you want, and then come back and create it. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. I've done this before in my life. I know how to do this. I'm a designer. I'm a visionary. And so I got out my journal and I wrote Future Katie. Future Katie is, let's dream here. Future Katie is an author. Oh, wow. Future Katie is a speaker. Oh man, can you imagine that? What if I was on stage someday? Future Katie is a light to this world. Wow, that would mean a lot to me. Future Katie is a powerful businesswoman. Wow. Yeah, I mean, whew, I don't know when that would ever happen, these things, but yeah, that would be cool. That would be amazing. That would be fun. I show it to my husband and he says, okay, awesome. Right now, it lives in the future. You need to bring it into the now. I was like, okay, sure. He said, cross it out and write, I am. And I was like, oh, yeah, I can do that. I grab my pen, I grab my journal, and I go to cross out future, and I can't even write the words. In that moment, my brain is screaming at me, you're a liar. You're not an honest woman. This isn't true. That's not who you are. You're not an author. You're not a speaker. You're not some light to the world. I push through the resistance and I cross out future Katie. And then I am. It feels so awkward, so uncomfortable. It feels like the biggest lie I've ever told. I remember closing my journal and slipping it under my bed and thinking, I never want to look at that again. Have you ever had your brain scream at you like that? Our brain is this amazing piece of hardware. It's here to help keep you alive. And it wants things right now. It wants food right now. It wants sleep right now. It wants rest right now. It wants a G-Wagon right now. It wants the dream home right now. Our brain always wants everything right now. Give it to me now, is what our brain is always saying. I want it right now. Horatius has said, rule your mind or it will rule you. Huh. What does he mean? Rule your mind or it will rule you. So who are you? Are you your mind? Are you your brain? Are you your thoughts? Who are you? We have to be braver than we think we can be because God is constantly calling us to be more than we are. Inside that amazing piece of hardware that we have, our brain, as we think new thoughts, we're creating new neural connections, new pathways in our brain. It's physical. They can literally see it on brain scans. And as we are making these new connections, we are strengthening our habits through repetition. If you have thoughts like, I'm not good enough, this is embarrassing, I'm not an expert, if you have that thought over and over again, it literally becomes like a well-worn racetrack in your mind. And it becomes a habit. That thought becomes a habit. And that thought then determines our feelings and our actions. So you might be saying, so Katie, right now, are you saying the secret to our success is in our thinking? Well, kind of, but not really. You see, we have these thoughts. They create feelings. We feel scared. We feel excited. And then from that place, we take action. So we take scared action, or we take excited, optimistic action. And over again, this pattern happens. So our thoughts become our feelings, which then become our actions. But who are you? It's not an easy question to answer. Kind of like when you're around a young child and over again, they're asking you questions. In fact, speaking of children, this is my daughter. Her name's Liberty. She's 7. And pretty much ever since she could talk, she asks me the same question every night. Mom, will you tell me a story? We read stories together. And one of our favorite stories is by a man named P.D. Eastman. And it's called, Are You My Mother? It's this great story about a mother bird sitting in her nest on an egg, and the egg starts to jump. And she says, oh, my baby's going to be born. I need to go get some food for my baby. And so she takes off, and the baby hatches, and the baby's born, and very quickly it stumbles out of the tree onto the ground, looks around and says, where's my mother? I know I have a mother. Where is she? And off the baby bird goes to find his mother. And pretty soon comes upon a dog, and he says to the dog, are you my mother? And the dog says, I'm a dog. No, I'm not your mom. And the bird says, okay, I'm gonna go find my mother. And pretty soon he comes on a cat and a chicken and an airplane, and over again he's asking, are you my mother? This bird is instinctually searching. Instinctually searching. You know who else is instinctually searching? You know that story I told you about writing those things in my journal and how uncomfortable it made me feel, and I never wanted to look at it again? Well, this one day, my husband and I are in Portland. We're on a hillside. We're there for a lunch meeting with another entrepreneur. And we got there early. It was rare to get there early. The parking lot's empty, and the rain has stopped. Water's still kind of dripping out of the trees. The clouds start to part, and light is streaming into the valley. And my husband says, hey, do you have your journal? I said, yeah, my journal. I always have my journal. He said, why don't you go stand over there and declare to the universe who you are? And my heart starts racing. I wanted to run. Are you kidding me? What? No, I'm not going to go do that. Who does that? He was like, come on, Katie, it's going to be amazing. You can do this. I was like, I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. And at the same time, I knew that what he was inviting me to do, there was something important in it for me. So I made the decision. I grabbed my journal. I walked over to the edge, opened up my journal to that page, looked at those words, I am, and tears just started streaming down my face. My lips were quivering. I couldn't even get the words out. I just stood there afraid. And finally, I get the words out. I am a speaker. I am a light to this world. I am a powerful businesswoman. I am Katie Richardson. Get out of my way. Finally get it out. And he said, that was great. Do it again, but louder. It's like, what? You want me to do it again? So I do it again louder. I do it again louder. I do it again louder. I finally shout it. In that moment, something shifted inside of me. Did I believe those words in that moment? No. I felt like maybe I just made the biggest lie of my life. Something shifted inside of me. Brene Brown has said, what we know matters, who we are matters more. So in this mind, in this brain, we've got new thoughts, which are creating new connections, which have us feeling new feelings. And then we're taking new action. What happened that day? I planted new thoughts. I was feeling new feelings. And a few weeks later, somebody calls me and she says, we've never met. You don't know me. I put on a big event where I bring high wealth individuals, so billion-dollar fund managers, high-powered attorneys, CPAs. We want to know if you'll come speak to us. And I was like, what? Are you serious? You know, I've got this business and... I'm always serious. Oh, yeah, good. Hi, Siri. And so I'm like, all the doubt starts to creep up. And then I remember that moment, that day on the hillside where I made that declaration. And even though I have a pit in my stomach, I'm so nervous thinking about talking to that audience, I tell her yes. A few weeks later, she puts me on a plane, puts me up in this really nice hotel, and I'm there thinking, who do you think you are? They're going to see right through you. They're going to see you don't actually know what you're doing, that you're a total fraud. Over and over again, that doubt, that fear, those old thought patterns start playing in my mind. What did I do? Well, I get up there on the stage and I start repeating in my head the very words that I had declared in Portland that day. I'm a powerful businesswoman. I'm a light to this world. I'm a speaker. I'm Katie Richardson. Get out of my way. It was an amazing afternoon. It wasn't something you could totally prepare for. There was both questions from a moderator and then there was open Q&A from the audience. And it turns out I had a ton of fun. What did I end up doing? I was sharing my magic, my unique perspective on the world. I wasn't trying to be something I'm not. I decided I was going to be Katie. And maybe my way of doing things isn't for everybody, and that's okay. I have nothing to hide. And, you know, it's this amazing experience. And I go to sit down, and the woman who had put on the whole event, she's up on the stage. I'm sitting down now. She's kind of towering over me. And she says, Katie, what was that? She points to the stage. What was that? There were 4 people on that stage and you were glowing. What was that? I was baffled. I didn't know what she was even talking about. I said, Nicole, I'm really passionate about some things and I'm really grateful that you gave me a chance to share this. As I had come off stage, this woman comes and she grabs me and she says, I need to talk to you. Like, I've never met such a powerful businesswoman. And again, my doubts were like, me? But I sat there, squared my shoulders. I looked her in the eyes and I said, thank you. Another woman comes and gives me a hug. She says, God is using you. I said, who are you? She said, I'm the manager of a $13 billion fund and keep doing what you're doing. I was like, whoa, okay, cool. What did those people experience that day? Were they experiencing the answer to the #1 question, to accelerating your business, to putting things into hyperdrive, to having more confidence than you ever knew was possible for you? What were they experiencing? Steve Jobs has said, don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. Are you asking the number one question? You guys have been amazing. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you
Hello.
so much for the amazing, powerful message. Katie, thank you. That was outstanding. I've been reading the Facebook comments, and thank you very much.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was expecting, but I got goosebumps. Very, very powerful. Just reading some of the comments, powerful, love, love, love. Mic drop. If you have any questions for Katie, we have just a couple of minutes here. You guys left. We can go through a few questions. Katie, it was wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Let's see here. We have a question. Carrie Sue asks, on your application funnel, how do you find out their emotional desire?
On the application funnel, are you talking about me specifically? Let me think about this. On the application funnel, how do you understand their emotional desire?
Yeah, how do you find out their emotional desire? This is towards the beginning of your presentation.
Oh, you've got to just get to know your customers. So you can look, one of the things that you can do is you can look at people's testimonial videos that they create for you. Go dissect those. What is it that's really resonating with people? What is it that has them saying, I want to keep working with you? Like my clients, friend, I don't have to resell them into another 12-month contract. They just come back to me and they're like, can we keep working together, please? And so in that moment, I'm like, I'm curious. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. And what is it that's working so well for you? And why do you want to pay me another $60,000? So asking questions to your customers, people who are working with you, and even listen to maybe things that they feel are missing. But it's really important to be talking to your customers, just like my friend who's working in the chain restaurant today. He's getting to know the customer and understand what resonates for them. Like I said, be a human, talk to them, understand the emotions. Like when they say they like that thing that you're doing, say, when that thing happens for you, how does that make you feel? Ask them that.
Yeah. I saw another comment earlier about just what a powerful storyteller you are and how powerful that is. So thank you. Another question here. Elizabeth asks, Katie, how do you zero in on the one thing that is your gift that you have to offer and share?
It's a good question. If you had to kind of strip away, this is honestly like in this group, I know you guys totally deal with this problem because I see this all the time when people come to me. High performers are really good at a lot of things. They're really good at a lot of things. And we honestly, it's a decision, Brent. You have to make a decision and say, this is what I'm focused on. So my career path has been, I started out as a product designer, and that was the one thing I did really, really well. And I knocked it out of the park in my company Pudge. And then I made a decision in that moment when I felt like I was up against a cliff. I made a decision. I was actually going to put that product design, I was going to put it on the shelf. And I was going to claim and own a new piece of me, which was coaching. And I knew, I had seen that I could have one conversation with people and it would totally transform their life. And I became really curious about that. And I was like, I want to know more about that. And it was interesting because even in the beginning, Brent, like I started working with Catherine 2.5 years ago. And it was hard for me even then to own my magic. And I remember she was just getting crazy results, like one phone call and we had 3x'd her webinar in like a short amount of time. No, it was 5x. We 5x'd her webinar just with one phone call. And my husband was actually really curious. He was like, what are you doing with her? And I was like, I don't even know. Sometimes we're so caught up in our own little world. And so it can help to kind of step outside of yourself and maybe even ask your customers, ask your spouse, like, what is the thing that, like, if we had to take everything else away of what I'm doing for you, what's the one thing that's like making the biggest difference? And so for me in my coaching, that's clarity. People are constantly confused and overwhelmed. I think especially at the multi-million-dollar level, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of different ways you could grow and build your business and scale it. And so many different opportunities. What do we say yes to? What do we say no to? There's a lot of decision overwhelm. And so that's what I do with my clients. I help them get clarity and focus. Like, where is it you're headed? Where do you want to go?
Yeah. Oh, so good. Okay, we had another question about your unique ability. So I think you just kind of answered that. One last question for you, Katie. When you fell into the trap of self-doubt and you feel paralyzed, what do you do to interrupt that pattern, change your thoughts, and take action?
You have to catch the thoughts first. You have to notice them. And I'm going to go back to that quote from Horatius, get control of your mind or it will control you. I think that was a paraphrase. He said something like that. You've got to catch those thoughts and you have to say to yourself, like, is that me or is that just a thought? And when you can grow your awareness around those thoughts, you actually have the ability to change them. And the doorway out of the confusion of, honestly, they're lies. They are lies that we are believing. I believed I was small. I grew up the fourth of 6 kids. When I was 3, my mom had twins. And I became a very independent person. I also became very invisible. And as a toddler, that was great. I loved being invisible. I could go do whatever the heck I wanted and I wasn't going to get in trouble. But in like junior high, high school, and college, being invisible, that was painful. And I had to make that flip myself. And it's about understanding what are the thoughts that are making you feel the way you don't want to feel, and then taking action from a place that you don't want to take, and catching those thoughts and replacing them with the truth.
So good. Thank you. Appreciate your time, Katie. We want to be respectful of that. We're out of time now, you guys, but thank you so much for your time and for just sharing that knowledge with us. I know it's been well received in the group, so thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Brent. Thanks, everybody. This was
Take
awesome.
care.
I'm excited to connect with everybody maybe later.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Well, Sarah, can't hear you. I can't hear you because you're muted, but that's okay.
Okay. Yeah. No, that was saying that was really, really good. I'm just I'm